Hey guys, welcome to the latest installment of Storytelling 101, and in this video we're going to cover a very key sort of idea in storytelling, but very important, very basic, simple, but incredibly important little tool that a lot of people I think heard of by now, hopefully, and if you haven't, well then you'll hear about it very soon, and that is Chekhov's gun, the idea of Chekhov's gun, which is a bit of just a literary device, literary theory thing that I think is really interesting and key, really kind of unlocks the entirety of storytelling once you know what it is and once you know how to identify it and then use it in your own work. So what is Chekhov's gun? Well, Chekhov's gun essentially says that if you have a gun in the first act of your play, Anton Chekhov, who kind of looked like this a little bit, was a playwright, Russian playwright, wrote these really good plays that you should all read or try and see if there's any productions near you. What Anton Chekhov said was that if you have a gun in the first act of your play, it must go off by the third act of your play. Otherwise, why have the gun there, right? And that makes a lot of sense. If the only reason that you have a gun in a story is because that gun must go off. And that doesn't mean the gun has to shoot anybody. It doesn't mean that anybody has to die. It just means that guns shoot things. And if you're not going to shoot a thing, then it's no use having a gun in your story. Which is kind of a key, I think expresses a key idea of storytelling, and that is, again, cause and effect. It is causality. That there's a cause, and it will have an effect later on in the story. And that is, again, the heart of what storytelling is. It's A and then B, or A because B because A. And that's everything. That's the key. That all story is just a series of kind of Chekhov's gun. You have a character that will do something. You have a setting that will change. You have a gun that will go off. And another thing it expresses is that everything in your story should be a multi-tool. That everything should do at least two things. That the gun may appear as decoration, as a setting, a part of the setting in the first act, but then becomes a plot point by the third act. And so everything in your story should do at least two things. That your characters should be involved in the plot, for example. That your characters just shouldn't be there and not have any involvement in the plot, which is pretty basic. But more complicated, that the characters in the setting should relate. That where the characters are should explain something about who the characters are. So if your characters are in a castle, why are they in a castle? Are they royalty? Are they servants to the royalty of that castle? They can't just be regular guys in a castle, because regular people don't live in castles. Is an object that your character has important to the plot? It probably should be if you point it out and say, oh, this character has a pendant and it's really important to them, and that pendant should probably come up later in the plot. That everything you introduce in your story shouldn't just be there because it's pretty or you think it's cool, that it should serve the story, that it should serve the plot, that it should drive things forward. So this isn't just important kind of basic storytelling stuff. This is key. This is really the key to unlocking world building. And world building is, of course, just a really fun and exciting and also important part of writing stories, of building worlds, of building these fictional worlds that people can engage in and lose themselves in and really remember and take with them once they leave the theater or close the book or whatever you're doing. And a lot of people have theories on world building, or what makes a good world. People say, oh, with world building, everything has to be connected, or everything has to have a history that you don't even have to write down in the book, but you have to know it, and that would inform you of how your story works. And that's all good, and if you're doing something on an epic scale, then maybe. But I think world building is a lot simpler than that, in that it could basically be boiled down to everything in your story having a reason to be there. So not everything has to be connected. You don't have to have A relates to B, relates to C, relates to D, and that's why they're all in the story. Things can come from their own places. Things can have their own history untied to the history of everything else in the world. But everything in your story must have a reason to be there. It doesn't matter if it's kind of a throwaway thing. It doesn't matter if that reason for being there is the entire plot, but everything should have a reason. Again, if your character has a gun, it's because that character is going to shoot the gun. So for some other examples, if you say that your character is a lockpick, for example, that your character knows how to pick locks, then your story should probably have a scene in it where your characters are locked in a room or have to open a chest or something. Because otherwise, why tell us that your character knows how to pick locks? Another example would be if your characters find themselves on an island, just totally stranded, and they find the ruins of a boat on that island. Well, maybe we should find out how that boat got there. And again, it doesn't have to be like the main character's father was a sea captain and it's his boat that he left, and that's why the main character's an orphan. It doesn't have to all be connected like that, because that could make the story really small. But if we have a boat, maybe we find the skeleton of the crew who did do the boat, and they have a little note saying, we were shipwrecked in 1749 and pirates or something. And, you know, that doesn't have to play a big part in the story. It just has to explain why that boat is there. And that, again, makes the world feel like everything has a reason, that everything makes sense, and that's the key to world building. One example that I really love, that's a pretty recent example, is from Mad Max Fury Road. And I hope that by now you have all seen Mad Max Fury Road, because it is one of the best movies ever, in my opinion. But there's this moment in Mad Max Fury Road where, and again, spoilers, if you have not seen it, you really should. But there's this moment where the characters are crossing through this really weird-looking part of the wasteland. It's the only scene in the film that takes place at nighttime, and during an establishing shot of them crossing, we get a scene of these weird kind of monster-looking guys on stilts. And we never see these guys before in the story, and we don't see these guys after in the story. They're just in this kind of one establishing shot, and they slowly kind of amble their way across this really marshy, weird-looking land as crows fly by in the distance and everything. And we're not given an immediate explanation to who these people are, or why they're there, or what they are exactly. We actually don't know much about these people at all. But we later find out that this place that they cross through is where they wanted to be going at the beginning of the story. And at the beginning of the story, we were told, oh, there's this bright green land full of life and vegetation, and it's paradise and everything. And kind of at the thing that kind of turns the story around, the twist is that this is that place. And we find out that this place has been irradiated and poisoned. And then things click. We find out it's been irradiated and poisoned, and if you remember these guys, like, oh my god, that explains these people. That we don't know if they're people, we don't know if they're animals, but they're clearly kind of mutated, and the stilts are maybe for avoiding the radiation in the water that's around them, because it's kind of a swamp. And we don't ever know who these characters are, but they have a reason to be there. That it's a cool looking thing at first, reason number one, to be there, they're cool looking. Reason number two, because it helps tell the story of this is how bad that green land is now, that it's completely unfamiliar and irradiated, and anyone who lives there has to be on stilts all the time or is mutated or something. And then this also kicks off the entire kind of last act of Mad Max, because they find out that the place they were going to is irradiated, they can't go there anymore, you definitely don't want to go back to this horror show. So they have to go all the way back to where they came from, and that sets up the entire kind of second or third act of the movie, rather. So this little thing, this little weird kind of establishing shot that at first just kind of appears cool and maybe weird, ends up being a key to us believing that the characters have to just turn around and go home at the end of the movie, which I think is just excellent world building, because now we don't get all the answers, of course, but we have what we need to believe the story and to make the world seem so much larger and so much more wonderful than it was previously appeared to be. So I kind of unelegantly hit a little Chekhov's gun in this video, and it's kind of an important message. I have a new blog. This is the web address for it. It is waldville.wordpress.com. I will put a link in the description of this video. But yeah, this is a new blog I set up over the weekend, and I'm really excited about. And this new blog is where I'll be putting a lot of my work from now on. That there will be less videos on this channel. I'm still planning to do video. I'm not stopping cold turkey on videos. This series, Storytelling 101, will still be a video series, but things like my movie reviews and my comic book reviews and that sort of stuff will be written in this blog over here. Instead of me making videos, it'll all be written down. And I'm making this change because I feel like I'm more of a writer than kind of an on-screen personality. And I really don't... I'd rather invest in practicing and honing my writing skills than kind of buying better equipment and making these videos technically better. I'd rather just kind of write everything down, and I think that makes things easier just as reviews, to read at your own pace, to parse through them easier and pick out points that maybe matter to you more or less. But I'm still going to be doing work. I'm going to be doing more work, or at least I'm trying to do more and more things on this blog than I do on this channel. So if you care about my opinions or about anything I've ever done, please check out this blog. Bookmark it, maybe even, if you feel like it. Yeah, I really hope that you make the jump to this thing. I hope that you read. I have some new stuff up already. I have a new movie review up already there. I have a blog post about The Killing Joke up on the blog already, so some new content there already for you guys to check out. And yeah, still expect some videos on this channel, just not as many. But I thought you guys should know about that. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you continue to stay here. I hope that you go to the new blog and follow me over there. And just, yeah, so honestly, so many thanks to everyone watching this video, to everyone who bothers to comment on this video, or any of my videos, really. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for watching in the past. I want to thank you if you decide to keep watching, and especially thank you if you decide to read the blog and continue to do that. So that has been this little video of Storytelling 101. We learned about Chekhov's gun. We learned I have a new blog. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you continue to enjoy, and I hope that you enjoy the blog that I set up. So yeah, just again, so much thanks. Thank you so much. Comic book reviews still happening on Wednesday on the blog. Movie reviews every week on the blog. Storytelling 101. It'll be on the blog too, but also here. But yes, thank you guys so much for your support. And I hope that you join me for the next chapter in the things I do.